When most landlords think about risks to their rental property, they think about bad tenants, late rent, or maintenance issues. But there's another legal issue that catches many property owners off guard: squatters' rights. If you own rental property in Virginia, especially if it's vacant, this is something you need to understand. I'm Calvin Davis with Keyrenter Richmond Property Management. And today, we're going to break down what squatters' rights actually mean, how adverse possession works in Virginia, and what landlords can do to protect their investment. Let's start with the basics. What are squatters' rights? First, what is a squatter? A squatter is someone who occupies a property without the owner's permission. Now here's where it gets interesting. In some situations, if certain legal conditions are met, a squatter can attempt to claim ownership through something called adverse possession. Adverse possession is a legal doctrine that allows someone to gain ownership of property if they occupy it under specific conditions for a long period of time. In Virginia, that required period is generally 15 years of continuous possession. Now, before you panic, this does not mean someone can just move into your rental and own it next year, but it does mean vacant, neglected, or abandoned properties can become legal problems if not properly monitored. Squatting versus trespassing. What's the difference? This is where many landlords get confused. Trespassing is a criminal act. If someone breaks into your property and occupies it unlawfully, law enforcement may remove them as a trespasser, depending on the circumstances. Squatting, however, becomes more complicated when someone claims a right to be there. For example, they may claim a verbal agreement. They may produce fraudulent documents. They may simply refuse to leave and force you into the eviction process. The key distinction is this: a trespasser has no claim to the property. A squatter may attempt to assert rights, which often means you must resolve the issue through the civil court system. What is required for adverse possession in Virginia? For someone to successfully claim ownership through adverse possession in Virginia, they generally must prove several elements. The possession must be hostile, meaning without the owner's permission; actual, they physically occupy or use the property; open and notorious, it's obvious they're there, not hidden; exclusive, they are not sharing possession with the true owner; continuous, uninterrupted for the full statutory period, typically 15 years in Virginia. If any one of these elements is missing, the claim usually fails. And here's the good news for landlords: routine inspections, active property management, leasing activity, and documentation can all disrupt a claim of continuous possession. That's one reason professional oversight matters. Quick plug here. One of the easiest ways to prevent squatter issues is simple. Don't let your property sit vacant and unmanaged. At Keyrenter Richmond Property Management, we help landlords fill vacancies quickly, conduct regular property oversight, handle legal compliance, and protect rental assets from costly surprises. If you own property in the Richmond area and want professional protection in place, visit keyrenterrichmond.com/schedule. Now let's talk about what to do if you actually discover a squatter, how to handle a squatter in Virginia. First, and this is critical, do not attempt to physically remove them yourself. Do not change the locks. Do not shut off the utilities. Do not threaten or intimidate. Virginia law requires landlords to follow proper legal procedures. Step 1 is typically serving a written notice to vacate. If the individual refuses to leave, you will likely need to file for an unlawful detainer in General District Court, similar to an eviction process, even if they never had a lease. Courts will determine whether they are a trespasser or someone requiring formal eviction. If law enforcement determines it is a clear case of criminal trespassing, they may intervene. but many situations require civil court action. Documentation becomes extremely important, such as proof of ownership, lease history, inspection records, communication logs. This is why staying organized and proactive as a landlord is so important. How to prevent squatting issues. Prevention is far easier than removal. Here are practical steps Virginia landlords should take. Secure vacant properties properly. Inspect regularly. Maintain visible activity at the property. Post proper signage. Keep utilities managed correctly. Respond quickly to unauthorized occupancy. At Keyrenter Richmond, our leasing systems, marketing processes, and vacancy management help reduce long vacancy periods, which is one of the biggest risk factors for squatting. Properties that are actively managed rarely become targets. Final thoughts. Squatters' rights and adverse possessions sound scary, but they're usually preventable. In Virginia, adverse possession requires strict criteria and 15 years of continuous occupation, but ignoring vacant properties, failing to monitor them, or delaying action can create unnecessary legal headaches. The key takeaways are: understand what squatting actually means. Know the legal difference between trespassing and adverse possession. Never attempt self-help removal. Act quickly and follow proper legal procedures. And keep your properties actively managed. As always, this video is for educational purposes only and not legal advice. Laws change and every situation is different. Consult a licensed Virginia attorney for legal guidance. If this was helpful, hit like and subscribe for more Virginia landlord education. And if you want help protecting your rental property from legal risks, including vacancy oversight and tenant placement, visit us at www.keyrenterrichmond.com. I'm Calvin Davis with Keyrenter Richmond Property Management. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.